Phoenix Lady here. I woke up at 2 a.m. with a fascinating collage of thoughts and visions centered on the old Marxist slogan, power to the people. As used by the elitist crybabies of the so-called New World Order, the central banks, the in-your-face state, the corrupt politicians, and Antifa, BLM, and other Marxist organizations, that slogan really means all power to me. But what would it mean to those who try to be adults like you and me? Rather more than a decade ago, when Obama won in 2008 with his platform based on hope and change, and promptly plunged us into his war against the adults, aka far right-wing extremists like the Tea Party, as he and his far left-wing extremists called us, I wrote most of a novel called Reality Bites. You'll never find it because I never finished, much less published it, and I won't. For that novel, I studied our Constitution and how it came to be, then created the Constitution of the Union of Philadelphia. It's now time for me to share it with you, so you can all tell me why it can't possibly work, why it should be dumped down the memory hole, or why it's outright evil. And then maybe, just possibly, you might think about it. Today, I'll share Article 1. Tomorrow, I'll share the remainder of the articles. The Constitution of the Union of Philadelphia. Preamble. We, the people of the Union of Philadelphia, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the Union of Philadelphia. Article 1, Section 1. All executive, legislative, and judicial powers shall be vested in each citizen for purposes of enabling the citizens of the Union of Philadelphia to achieve their goals of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. There shall be designated one primary and 6 derivative levels of governing authority. These are as follows. 1. The primary level of governing authority shall be the individual citizen. 2. The first derivative level of governing authority shall be the family in its generations. The family may consist of blood relatives or of unrelated citizens with a common interest, e.g., a small business or other type of association. 3. The second derivative level of governing authority shall be the tribe, which may consist of multiple families or similar groups with a higher level common interest, e.g., a mid-sized business or other type of association. 4. The third derivative level of governing authority shall be the clan, which shall consist of several tribes with a higher level common interest. Tribes need not be co-located, but may serve as members of a network, e.g., a large-sized business or other type of association. 5. The fourth derivative level of governing authority shall be the county, which shall consist of all citizens located within a designated physical area, generally but not necessarily equivalent to counties in existence at the time this document is implemented. 6. The fifth derivative level of governing authority shall be the state, which shall consist of all counties which have agreed to be part of it. 7. The sixth derivative level of governing authority shall be the Union of Philadelphia as a whole, which shall consist of all citizens in all their groups within the counties and states. 8. Should other nations adopt the principles set forth in this document, yet wish to retain their own cultural and/or national identities, they, with the Union of Philadelphia, shall constitute a seventh derivative level of governing authority. There shall also be designated 3 primary guilds consisting of citizens who have demonstrated very high levels of competency in the executive, legislative, and judicial functions and have been acclaimed to membership in these guilds by their fellow citizens. These guilds and their areas of responsibility shall be as follows. 1. The Executors Guild. Acclaimed executors shall work in pairs, one designated as justice, one as mercy. Together they shall be responsible for assisting any and all citizens who have requested their services to execute the will of the citizen or group of citizens within the limits of the Golden Rule, stated as, "You do to others as you expect them to do to you." A. Justice shall be responsible for enabling the execution of the will of the citizen or group of citizens. Justice shall also be responsible for coordinating the defense of the group as and when needed, both within and without the militia. This includes participation in the sacrament of execution, should one or more citizens refuse to allow resolution of a dispute with any other citizen or group of citizens. B. Mercy shall be responsible for enabling the respectful interaction of all citizens within the group. Mercy shall work with justice to ensure that the will of the group shall be executed in a manner respectful of the rights and duties of all other citizens. This includes participation in the sacrament of execution with justice. 2. The Counselors Guild. Acclaimed counselors shall be responsible for assisting any and all citizens who have requested their services by providing comfort and advice, assisting group members in learning new skills, encouraging respectful resolution of differing opinions, and helping group members develop mutually agreeable goals and plans for achieving them. 3. The Arbiters Guild. Acclaimed arbiters shall be responsible for assisting any and all citizens who have requested their services in resolving any dispute, potential or actual. They shall also be responsible for keeping records of all meetings, all arbitration hearings, all negotiations, and the agreed upon contracts resulting from them, and all financial transactions made between any citizen and any other citizen or group of citizens. They shall also be responsible for participating in the sacrament of execution should their efforts to assist citizens to resolve disputes fail. Executors, counselors, and arbiters acclaimed by any group of citizens shall serve at the pleasure of all citizens or groups accepted as members of the contracting group for a contracted period not longer than 1 year. At the end of the contracted period, the group shall determine whether to extend, renegotiate, or terminate the contract. There shall be no limit on the number of times a group may extend the contract. Section 2. Each person who shall have attained the age of 18 and who shall have demonstrated competency in the following areas shall be granted full citizenship and shall be authorized to conduct all activities he or she shall find necessary for sustaining life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness within the limits of the Golden Rule, stated as, "You do to others as you expect them to do to you." Section 3. Areas of required competence for citizenship. 1. Must be able to read, write, and speak clearly, and to be able to state an effective argument for a given course of action. 2. Must be knowledgeable about the history of the world as currently understood, as well as of the former United States and the Union of Philadelphia. 3. Must be knowledgeable about personal and corporate finance, as well as economics, and must have one or more salable skills so as to be able to support him or herself without recourse to charity. 4. Must be skilled in armed and unarmed self-defense, so as to be able to serve as a member of the militia when called upon to do so. Citizens 70 years of age or older may be excused from this requirement as long as they remain competent in all other requirements. 5. Must understand the dispute resolution process laid forth in this document and must show willingness to be reconciled to life in any dispute by treating all others with respect. Upon acclamation to citizenship, the candidate must swear or affirm that he or she will preserve, protect, and defend this Constitution. He or she shall then receive a certificate of citizenship from the Arbiters Guild of his or her county, and his or her name will be entered into the rolls of citizenship in that county. This certificate shall contain all endorsements of special competency, in addition to citizenship competencies, constantly updated health, financial, and other personal information, and shall be required for the execution of any commercial or financial transaction. Citizenship is not transferable under any circumstances, and the citizen must retain his or her certificate in his or her possession at all times. Each citizen is expected to protect his or her certificate from theft or damage by others with the same fervor with which he or she would preserve, protect, and defend this Constitution. Loss of the certificate shall require recertification of all requirements for citizenship. Replacement of a damaged certificate may be requested at the Arbiters Guild office in the county of record by the citizen to whom said certificate is registered, and shall be received on surrender of the original certificate, which will then be destroyed in the presence of the citizen and two witnesses. Anyone found in possession of a certificate of citizenship which is not his or hers, or whose name is not found on the rolls of citizenship, shall be taken to arbitration immediately for possession of counterfeit or stolen property. In any case, competency in all requirements for citizenship must be demonstrated every 10 years in order to renew the citizenship certificate. Section 4. Persons unable by reason of physical, mental, or emotional incapacitation to show competency in all areas required for citizenship will be considered wards of charity and may not participate in commerce under their own recognizance. The definitions and categories of wards of charity shall be determined by the Arbiters Guild as a whole, as shall the definition and designation of guardianship for any ward of charity. Anyone designated a ward of charity shall have his or her needs provided for by a guardian appointed by the Arbiters Guild in his or her county of residence. Any revenue he or she may generate as a result of creating or providing salable goods or services shall be managed on his behalf by his guardians until such time as he or she is capable of demonstrating competency in all areas required for citizenship. All guardianship arrangements shall be overseen by the Arbiters Guild to prevent misfeasance, malfeasance, or other causes for dispute between guardian and ward. Section 5. Citizens may lose the rights and privileges of citizenship if at any time they treat any other person, citizen or ward of charity, with lack of respect, such that they are taken to arbitration and refuse to be reconciled with the plaintiffs. The dispute resolution process shall be as follows. 1. Any citizen or ward of charity who has a dispute with any other citizen is encouraged to seek resolution with any or all other disputants in direct consultation. 2. If any party to the dispute refuses to acknowledge the existence of a dispute or to work out a resolution mutually acceptable to all parties, any party may call upon a counselor at the next level of derivative governing authority. 3. All parties to the dispute are encouraged to work with the counselor to find a resolution mutually acceptable to all parties. 4. If any party to the dispute continues to refuse reconciliation, the counselor may request the services of an arbiter at his or her level of derivative governing authority. 5. All parties to the dispute are required to state for the record their positions with regard to the dispute. The arbiter will remind them of the ultimate penalty for continuing to refuse to work out a mutually acceptable resolution of the dispute. 6. Refusal to be reconciled at arbitration shall result in a choice of sentence at the arbiter of record's discretion as follows: temporary loss of citizenship and training for requalification for citizenship, permanent exile, or death by the sword in the sacrament of execution. 7. Any parties to the dispute who continue to refuse reconciliation, but who accept temporary loss of citizenship, shall become wards of charity under a guardian appointed by the Arbiters Guild until they have successfully demonstrated competency for citizenship and a willingness to act respectfully toward all other citizens and wards of charity. 8. Any parties to the dispute who refuse reconciliation and choose permanent exile shall have their citizenship revoked and their certificate destroyed. They shall then be conveyed to the nearest border checkpoint by the bailiffs, at which point their wealth, if any remains after all just debts have been paid, shall be given to them in gold or other specie for their use in exile. They will be listed on the rolls as exile, no right of return. Any attempt to return shall result in being turned back or death by citizens in self-defense. 9. Any parties to the dispute who refuse reconciliation and evidence extreme anger and/or violence, particularly if they threaten by word or deed other disputants or the arbiter, shall be sentenced to the sacrament of execution, to be performed by a pair of executors at the same level of derivative governing authority as the arbiter of record. Sentence shall be executed within 72 hours. 10. All other parties to the dispute are encouraged to do whatever they can to persuade the person under sentence that he or she need not die if he or she is willing to work with them to resolve the original dispute. In addition, a certified physician, a certified psychologist, and a certified spiritual advisor shall also appeal to the person under sentence to choose life rather than death. 11. Should all efforts to encourage the person under sentence to be reconciled fail, all parties to the dispute, as well as the arbiter of record, shall participate in the sacrament of execution, along with the selected executor pair. The executors shall first confront the arbiter of record with the sword. If the arbiter shows willingness to be reconciled, the executors will next confront the plaintiffs. If they show willingness to be reconciled, the executor pair will next confront the person under sentence. Mercy shall do everything she can to persuade the defendant that he or she still need not die, if only he or she will choose reconciliation to life. 12. If the defendant attacks the executors, particularly Mercy or the arbiter or any other parties to the dispute, justice shall be authorized to defend himself and all others under threat by executing the defendant. Section 6. The principles of this article may not be amended. Have at it, folks. Just remember, the ultimate storyteller is in complete control. I'm just executing a task he set before me. I'll share the rest of the document tomorrow. History is his story. Phoenix Lady, out.